All right. Woo-hoo! I'm excited to do this edition because it's all about fairies. How about you, ladies?
Yes.
Very.
And hello, by the way. We got the tiaras, so tiara wave.
And we have our tea, right? Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mine's tea.
Mine too.
Mine too. I'm
Not the healthy
drinking
kind, but
jade citrus mint tea.
Which is really good because you left some at my house. Chai for
Mine
me.
is black cherry hard seltzer tea.
Oh,
It's really good. And it's sugar-free.
sounds like it's really strong.
Hard. Does that mean it's liquor, Carla? Or
Yes, a little bit.
oh my gosh.
hey, it's 5 p.m. somewhere, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's already
Okay,
9 p.m.
so
over here, so
all right, so
And there she is.
hi.
hi.
So glad you can join us. And hi, everybody who is coming in as well. I actually can't see your comments because I'm doing everything from my phone. So Rochelle is going to help me out and let me know if there's anything we need to answer. And she's also has all the questions and the stuff that we're doing that's going to scroll by through the screen. If you guys would like to participate, you can use any deck you want. It does not have to be a fairy deck to participate. The first thing that we're going to do is pull a card for either question A or question B, or you could do it for both of them. It's up to you. I did it for both of them. What about you, ladies?
I did
Both.
both.
Both? Okay. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey everyone.
So you could pull a card for either question A, which is what you could learn from the Fae, or question B, which is how you could connect with Fae energy. So I will go ahead and start with mine, and that'll give everybody down there in the chat time to like pull their own cards or one card if they want to and get with us as we discuss ours. Sound good?
Yep.
Awesome. All right, so the first card that I did for question A was, what can I learn from the Fae? And I am using the Forest Creatures Tarot. They're the ones who wanted to play. And I got the World card. She's very pretty. I like her. She turned out really, I don't know, this deck is one of those decks that's really hard for me to just read in general. I haven't read a lot with it, but I do think that it's telling me that I can learn a lot and that I probably have learned a lot as well from them, and that I'm just going to continue on that journey into that other realm.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful card.
It is. It's a gorgeous
Yeah.
card.
Now, do you want to do the second one that you did?
Sure,
too?
yeah, I could do the second one too. The second one is how can I connect the Fae energy? And I got the Devil card, which I'm not sure how I feel about this. Kind of like, I don't view the Devil card as an addiction like other people do. I kind of view it more as an ability to be less inhibited in what you're doing. So I think that less inhibition is probably what will help let me connect with the Fae. So I'm not like chaining myself to traditional views or traditional values of connecting with the Fae. So yeah, there we go, Jennifer, holding myself back. Yeah. Hi, Regina.
Hi.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, I think it was spot on for what I've been dealing with and what I've been doing over the last few months for sure.
Does anyone else want to go?
next?
So just pick someone.
All right, we'll go this way, Carla.
We can't hear you.
Sissy, you're muted.
Oh,
She muted because of the baby.
Yep, sorry about that. I did.
There she is.
So first of all, I'm using the Hidden Realm, the Journey into the Hidden Realm, and it's the closest thing I have to a Fae deck. But I also like Barbara Moore. In fact, that one deck that I was drawn to when we went into that shop, sis, was Barbara Moore. And anyway, so and the cards, I actually got two, was the Blasted Beach and the Ten of Swords. And grandbaby's a little bit upset that he's not back in here with me. So I had a great lady named Tangi tell me that I had a Fae, that I have a Fae guide. And so, which is another kind of uncanny that we're doing this. So the Ten of Swords, that's, you know, kind of like a, well, let me start with the Blasted Beach, because that's different in the major arcana than what I've been learning. So I did look it up in the book, and it's like it has to do with ancient knowledge. And, you know, my guide is she's Fae. She's telling me, you know, always putting things in here. And then, you know, what I can learn with this deck is, because this was the first one that I really started using. And it was gifted to me by my sissy. So, and that's right on the money. Yes. So, and then swords, more knowledge. And that's really, I mean, I just connecting, getting knowledge from the universe. So that's what I am using it for. You know.
Definitely go with your gut, whatever it feels right to you.
Mm-hmm. What about the second one? Did you do the second one, sis? How can I connect with the Fae energy, or did you just do the first one?
I got the Queen of Swords on that one. Yeah. Yeah. Which is more they're just the swords or whatever. I think it's
thoughts and communication.
Yeah. And so Queen is right under mastering it, more of the feminine, I guess.
Reception of it. Yeah.
My intuition, all that. Yeah.
Be listening to that. Yeah.
That is one of the biggest things that I have to work on. So is intuition, trusting it, my gut. Yeah. Definitely. Next.
Next is Rochelle.
I think that's me. I got the Maker 9, which is like the 9 of Pentacles in the Tarot of the She. And for me, and also the keywords are root and blossom. But I love this deck so much because it also has the poems for all of the minor arcana. So and I've been journaling with it. So let me read what the poem was for you guys. Sorry about the dogs. The tree knows when its roots are strong, that it may grow where it belongs, and blossoms spread their color bright with gifts of water, soil, and light. So what can I learn from the Fae? Everything. Anything and everything. You know, nature, anything that I really want to root, or blossom, I could also learn from like that realm, I believe. So that's how I took it.
Well, do you think that pertains to your gardening in any way? Because you've been doing a lot more gardening over this last year too.
Oh yeah, getting back in touch with nature or anything like that, getting back in touch with my own self, roots, that could be ancestry, that could be DNA. I mean, you can take it in any way that you want, but that's the way I seen it.
Yeah.
And then the second question, which how can I connect with Fae energy? And I got the Dancer, which is the Ace of Cups. So to me, the first thing that came to my mind was my dreams, because I have contacted or been in that realm in my dreams, but also in my emotional state, the passions that I have, and just forming new relationships, working at it, you know. So that's how I feel like I can connect with that energy. But let me read that poem to you really quick. Then we're born to the realm of water, the waves and floods of the moon's daughter, the graceful dancer, full of feeling, whose mirror is the grail of healing.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. So, yeah.
But the Fae, they go through dreams. A lot of people talk about how fairies connect through your dreams. They try to contact you and get in touch and tell you things that way or help you learn things.
Yes.
Hi, Lennon.
Your turn, sweetheart.
Yep, Miss Julie, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Okay. How to connect? How do I connect? I got the Six of Swords from Mahat, right? From Journey, doing journey work.
Oh, that's a great card.
Yeah, and I take this as sort of being from dreams as well.
Yeah.
So it takes you away to another place. Learn about other places from the Fae. Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one for that. And was the next question was,
how can I connect with the Fae energy?
oh, okay. And then I got the Justice, which the laughing Justice. And this is definitely how I connect with the Fae. I can tell when they're around when there's uncontrollable laughter bubbling up from the earth.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that is kind of what I get from this card.
I love that. Yes. By the way, your crown of flowers is just beautiful.
I was going to wear my ears,
fitting.
but I kind of came in late.
I started to put mine in, but you can't see them through my hair, so.
I have mine on.
They're so cute. Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
I used the Raven's Wand Oracle. And for the first question, what can I learn from them? I got the Walk with Wings card, and this little fairy is balancing on a flower. And what I can learn from that is, like, she has wings. She can fly. She doesn't need to, like, walk or anything, but she's choosing to do that. And she's not even looking where she's walking, so she's just trusting that everything is fine. And I think what I can learn from that is to just go with the flow, just, go through life, take every day as it comes. And in case of an emergency, I would have those wings to catch me if I fall. So I don't need to be too worried, and I don't need to overthink too much. I think this is really calling me out on my overthinking. And the second question, how can I connect? I got the Ebb and Flow card, and that is talking about that not every problem needs to be a problem. Some can be challenges. And instead of being hung up on something that doesn't work, find a way to make it work. So that's what I have.
Beautiful.
That's awesome.
I love how you look at them.
We should see if anybody pulled cards down in the comments or the chat, I guess.
They haven't said anything, but have any of you pulled any cards? And I will go on to the first discussion points.
Okay.
The joys of parenthood.
Or grandparenthood in her case. I know that feeling.
I forgot to show you guys this. I forgot to show you the cards, but the Ten of Swords in this deck, look at that.
Oh, hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have that deck. It's in your face.
Yeah, she's vicious. She says, I've said it, and that's it.
Yeah.
She's like, come at me. Come on, I dare ya.
No, I just wanted to share that with.
Yeah, that deck has a lot more. It's very, very much a darker Fae vibe to it, darker fairy. aspects.
I like it. It was the first one I started using to read for people.
So much yellow around.
Yep.
Oh, around
And
with the
these-
Fae, I think she's talking
A
about.
lot of yellow when I see Fae too. Golden light when I've seen Fae.
I don't see gold. I see white, but that's how I see auras too around people. I don't see colors.
Oh, I see colors.
I see colors.
I wish I saw colors.
She said the yellow was
Yellow
also
is on Maria's card. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I have these, and so there's some yellow. Even though it appears like I'm like black and white here, yeah, there's actually color. It's the camera, and it's dark. It's already at night, so not much color here.
I have a bright sunshine like right behind me. I have
Yeah.
the curtains pulled, but that doesn't seem to change anything. All
So
right.
do we want to move on?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Well, you know, we'll just watch and see if anybody pulled any cards and just talk about it as we go, you know. All right. So for the first discussion question is, what is the Fae to you? Are they like the mythical beasts that you read about? Are they folklore creatures or folklore beings? Do you see them as angels? Do you see them as spirits? Now, I do want to say that Fae is a broadened term. It can encompass all of those things, and it's perfectly okay for that too. But I'm looking for your personal preference, like how you see them, how you look at Fae, fairy, those kinds of things. Me personally, I associate with mainly fairies. I don't necessarily go with like a bunch of dragons or spirits or anything like that, except for trees. I see tree spirits all the time, which I just wander around and they just show up for me. So I'm not really sure what that's about yet, but I'll figure it out. As a matter of fact, they're even in my house tree, so that's interesting. I was talking to Rochelle, and I think they're trying to communicate with me. There's a bunch of rune stuff on my. We cut a tree part to hold my steps up that go up to the loft in my tiny cabin. And these runes just kind of started appearing. And so I'm still researching and trying to figure out how they're trying to connect with me. But that's interesting. And I mainly see them more like Brian Froud version Fae rather than sparkly and everything else. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my sparkles. And I am totally okay with seeing Fae that way too, because I will. And when I create my art, I do it that way too. So, and I kind of pull from those universal energies to see the Fae that way, because I don't see them like right in front of me. Like other people will talk about seeing them in their dreams or right in front of them, or they're this fleeting light, or like Julie says, sometimes she sees the yellow. I don't really see any of that. I just feel the energy. I don't see it. I feel it. And that's a big difference. It looks like I'm chilling in my light castle. That's awesome. Energies. They have always been here, but are hard to describe. Exactly. Yeah. The Fae have their own energies. And I did read in a book, and I think I did a review on my channel about the book too, where the author was talking about Fae vibrating at specific energies in order for you to see or feel them or even hear them, because they are not human. They vibrate on their own frequency, their own levels, and that energy is what you kind of feel and see. So Carla, what about you?
Well, since Tangi had informed me that my guide was Fae, it was kind of like a validation moment for me, because I woke up one evening, actually probably just a few months ago, really, and I seen this little lady levitating above my bed, and she was very tiny in her body, but her head was huge and just bright red hair. And it looked like she was taking notes or something. And then there was, somebody behind her that looked like a possible, like a stick figure or whatever, very tall. And I automatically thought Fae. But I also associate them with, like our star people. I believe that they're obviously otherworldly, and they just can go where they want to go. And I also think maybe they get mixed up with elementals sometimes, because I think the elementals are the ones that might want to play with you sometimes. And I know I have one of those in my house, but I know that's not the guide. So I guess with all that being said, just magical beings. I have dreamt of them also, and they do give me messages. I had one give me a message that in a past life I had bound my powers because I felt like somebody was looking for me and I didn't want to be found. So that was the way to keep them from finding me, was to bind my powers. That was in a dream. So I believe my grandson is trying to give me a message right now. But yes, I think they're good. I think we have bad and everything, but I think that for the most part they're good, and I'm happy that I have one around me.
Okay, so for me, I see a whole bunch of different beings as Fae. Obviously the she. I really connect with like the she, which I think are like inner earth, have an inner earth civilization. But I also think that the she are maybe what is considered in the Bible as the Nephilim, like offspring of angels and humans. And those came in many different forms. They did not all look the same.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Even when I think of angels, I think of extraterrestrials. Okay. So when I think of that, I think of many different types of extraterrestrials. So I think that's why I think that there's many different kinds of Fae, because depending on what kind of offspring that they created, kind of like half blood kind of, or hybrid kind of thing. But also when I did some research, because I did when we were doing the Witchy Wisdom Wednesdays, I did one on like the Fae and the she and fairies and all that, and also like a link to like the Anunnaki and the war that happened between the Anunnaki and the Ajiji. And after that, which the Ajiji, some stories say that they were their offspring, their first set of offspring that rebelled against the Anunnaki. So they ended up having a big battle, and then they left. So, but then there's other stories that showed that the Fae or the she, when they arrived, they didn't arrive like they changed it later on boats. They arrived in flying ships, is what it said. So that's another reason why I think offspring. And then after we had floods, because of changing climates, that they went into the inner earth. So I think that's one aspect of it. I do look at like elementals, like Carla said, but I do look at those like they could also be blanketed in that term of Fae. Little like troll-like creatures. I told you one time that one and only time, and I'm not supporting this or anything, I did, some acid. And I had, the only thing that I seen was like these little creatures that kept on like peeking at me from behind the trees, and they were giggling and they would run really fast behind another one. There was a whole bunch of them. And I'm like telling the people, I'm like, don't you see them? Don't you see them? They reminded me of like the gremlins after midnight, after they ate, after they were fed after midnight. But they weren't vicious. They weren't trying to do anything. They were just like laughing, like maybe
Playful.
making fun at me or whatever, like, look at her, you can see us, let's run really fast. And they were just like little. That was but I didn't know it at the time that that's what they were. It was after me telling about the story and other people telling me, well, maybe you just went into another realm and you didn't realize it, or it opened up something in your brain and you were able to see it, right? So I don't know. So I think of all different kinds of energy for the Fae, but mainly the she, because I think they're really cool, which are kind of like remind me of the elves with the ears like you. They're tall and beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
All right, Miss Julie, what about you?
Well, my experience with the Fae, and I think they were Fae, are that they're real otherworld beings. And my story, my real encounter with them was on the day before I went to San Francisco in 1994 to present Ancestral Path for the first time. I was scared to death. I mean, I was literally shaking, and I had to stay overnight at Tracy Hoover's house because we were flying out the next day, and I was sleeping in the living room, and I woke up to harmonica music and golden light and all these little tiny beings no bigger than a Barbie doll kicking on my pillow and surrounding me with golden light and sparkly light. And I could hear this music. So I feel like they're associated with music. And when they were done with me, I was no longer afraid, and I felt like I could do this. And I never will forget that. And I've had other experiences with beings recently that were like dryads. And so they are real, and they are from another realm. And I don't know if they're angels or spirits or mythical creatures. I just know that they're otherworld entities. They're definitely a different frequency than us, and they can get into us and help us. Definitely feel that they're helpers. And the giggling. There was another experience that I had at an event where we did face scrying, and we lost time, and we were doing all of these energy things and journey work and past life regression things. And at the end of it, it was supposed to be like 1:00 in the morning, and it ended up being like 3:30 in the morning. And the person who was leading the group said, "Look around you. You've been kissed by the Fae." And we looked at each other, and our faces were blue, and they were painted. They were literally painted. Peter had eyebrows with like leaves coming off of his eyebrows. And we couldn't believe it. And it was like everybody saw it. Everybody in the group saw it. There were at least 12 of us. And we just kept looking at each other, and we were like, how did this happen? How did this happen? Oh. And then as we walked towards camp, we were camping overnight. And as we got closer and closer to camp, it all faded away.
Wow.
And it wasn't there anymore. And everybody looked at me and they said, "Your face is dark. It looks like bark." And I, couldn't see what other people could see, but I could just see how other people looked. And it was really amazing. And we tried to do this again, and it never happened. It was just this magical moment with just these few people who knew each other from past lives. We didn't know it at that point. We had just met a lot of these people. Wow. And it was a really powerful evening. One of my favorite magical evenings.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah. It was wild and real.
Mm-hmm.
There were no drugs involved.
That was something I was going to ask. Was there any hallucinogens?
There was nothing involved. And the ginger got stolen. We had candied ginger to offer to the Fae, and that got stolen. And bags got
exchange
stolen.
of energy. Right.
But none of the plastic was taken. Like things that were in plastic, the plastic was left, and the ginger was gone. And like Peter had a bag, and inside the bag was plastic and ginger, and the plastic bag was there, the bag was gone, The bag disappeared and then turned up in his shaman bag years later.
Wow.
And so he emptied it out and, filled it up and emptied it out a million times. That bag came back into his shaman bag. And it was like, one of those things, like, you can't dispute that because, it happened and it changes your reality because it really did happen. So that's my Fae story. They're real.
Yeah, well, for me, like, I don't really work with Fae Energy. Like, I did a little bit when I was like around 15, 16, maybe in that realm. And for me, Fae are very much air energy, meaning that for me, they're kind of unpredictable. Like, I never really know what they're up to. And like, my image of the Fae that I have is very much influenced by like Hollywood and Disney and all that kind of stuff. And so like the one that I worked with was from a cartoon that was, I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, there. That is Puck from Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream, and he was on the cartoon Gargoyles. And so when I saw him, I was like, yeah, that's my kind of guy, because he has a funny sense of humor. And the way that he works is, yes, he will grant wishes, but with a twist. Like, he will do it in a way that he can have a little bit of fun with it. He will still grant you the wish, but it's very, like, you have to be careful how you word things. And so I drew a picture of him and I hung that over my altar at home. And so I would talk to him. And like, he was the first kind of spirit guide in a way that I worked with. And so sometimes when I looked at the picture, it was like the Mona Lisa effect. Like, every once in a while it would change. Like, the smile would look different. Sometimes he would smile a little bit wider, sometimes not so much. And it was like his mood changing or something, or him communicating in a way. And that was like my only real Fae interaction that I ever had. And yeah, what I liked about him is, like, I turned to him when I was like in need of like being cheered up or something, because he had such a cheerful nature and he was kind of like a trickster. So I really loved that sense of humor. And yeah, I even took that picture with me to America when I was in my foreign exchange year, and hung that over my bed so I could still have him there, like something from home, something known, something that felt familiar. But after I came back from America, like, I still have the picture on the wall, but I kind of stopped working with him in that sense, because then I moved more into the like witchy stuff, more spell work, tarot, and all of that. And so I kind of, like, he was more like a friend to have tea with, but not someone to work with anymore in that sense. Like, that then became other things.
Like, the relationship evolved pretty much.
Yeah.
To something else.
Yeah.
Let's see. Once I contacted a guide and I thought she was in space and there was a purple vortex. And then I got the Tarot of the She and there she was in the star card. That's
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, that is very.
That's really cool. I'm lurking, not my thing.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, I did not have the Elfenwelt comics. No, I don't know what they are.
The Dreamer, Vision, Appetition. Second card. Dreamwork, yep. Yep, dreamwork is a part of it, I think. Which is hard for me because I don't like remembering my dreams.
And also, what particularly drew me to Puck was that, like, in the Gargoyles cartoon, all the Fae and all that, like, Oberon and Titania, they were the, like, king and queen of all the magical creatures, and they had their home base on Avalon, which was like my thing all along. So like, that connection made it like even more special.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Everybody's had some really cool experiences. I've had really cool experiences too. And that's kind of like why it's like talking Fae with other people, is because your experiences are unique to you and what you've dealt with and what you've encouraged coming into your energy levels. So I think that's pretty cool. But we are almost halfway through this and we've gotten one question done, guys.
Okay, let's
So we got to keep moving forward, okay? As much, maybe one of these times we can just get on and just chit chat about all our Fae experiences, because I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
All right. So the next question is, it's what determines if a deck is Fae or Fairy? What determines for you if a deck is Fae or Fairy? Now, the reason why I ask this is because I do feel like decks have specific energy to them. Some can be more playful and some can be more, upfront, brutal in your face. We all know that there's this different energy sometimes we get from decks when we're working with them and dealing with them and stuff like that. I don't generally put Fae energy into non-Fae decks. I'll admit that. But I do consider anything with dragons or elementals or dryads or fairies, anything like that. I do consider them in the Fae category for tarot cards or oracle cards. And even Paulina Cassidy's decks, I consider Fae decks. Now, I don't really know why that is. Honestly, I don't know why I put them in the Fae category, because she doesn't really do specifically fairies in all the decks or anything like that, but they just feel that way to me for some reason. They just feel that way to me. So I immediately, any Paulina Cassidy deck is immediately put in the Fae category. What about you guys?
Well, I don't have enough experience yet, being I'm still quite the novice. But I will tell you that the Tarot of the Hidden Realm is dark. But I am so drawn to dragons that, that's just a powerful. I wouldn't call it dark. I would just say that's like, I don't know, powerful. So, and I have not found one yet that I want to buy. So, and I am looking and I'm waiting for that one to call to me. So
it will.
I believe that. So.
For me, it's just a feeling. They can look just like regular human beings to me, or like a tree deck, or I would also agree about the Paulina Cassidy. Regardless of whether or not she says that they're fairies, they feel like fairy energy to me, but a different kind of fairy energy. Definitely the she is like a different, more like warrior kind of phase, so it just is a feeling for me. That's what it is, an energy.
Julie?
Next.
Anything by Emily Carding is, I consider a Fae deck, because she's a Fae. I mean, she's definitely worked with them, you can tell. I've met her and she's definitely Fae. I don't know. I guess if they advertise as being Fae, they probably are.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I kind of I want them to look like fairies. So, like, besides the Raven Wands Oracle, something that I have is like Magical Messages from the Fairies Oracle by She Who Shall Not Be Named. And then I also have this the Gothic Tarot, which has like dragons and unicorns and stuff, and also has some fairies, and like that to me is like fairy when I see the wings, whether it's butterfly wings, fairy wings, or something, or it even has like some other like dragons with fairy wings and stuff, like the elementals or whatever.
Yeah,
like
because
that
you
to me
associate
is
air.
Yeah. So the wings kind of are the thing for me.
Awesome.
Oh
All right, so we'll keep moving forward because this is where it starts to kind of start getting a little more interesting for the questions. So the next question is, there's a lot of different fairy decks out there, a lot. And I think that there's more on the oracle side than there is actually on the tarot side of the fairy decks. And so what I want to know is, should Fae decks, do they feel more like they should be in the tarot side, or do they feel like they should be more in the oracle side, and why? So for me, most of the decks that I have are going to be oracle because that's where most of Fae decks rest, is in the oracle side. But I do think that they do really well on the tarot side. All the Fae tarot decks that I have, they're spot on with everything that they do, even though Fae aren't necessarily human. So some people do see them as a form of humans. I still think that they can represent something that helps our lives, which is what the tarot kind of like zones in on, is those everyday pieces of our lives and the bigger pictures. What about you, Carla?
I definitely don't have enough experience to answer this either, but I will tell you that I have looked at a couple dragon tarot decks, and they are they're tarot, it's not oracle. So, and I have seen both, and I'll probably get one of each. So I think they could be both, definitely.
So for me, I guess the question, should Fae decks be based more in oracle or tarot? It's a personal thing for everybody, but I say both. I'm an equal opportunity reader. So I could see it definitely in oracle. I understand why it's more in oracle, because it gives a bigger spectrum, I think, rather than just basing it on your 78 cards. However, I think the tarot system is pretty balanced in all the different kinds of archetypes and stuff like that. So I could definitely see tarot being pretty much anything, animals, which I'm not a huge fan of animal tarot sometimes, but not, and fairy. Yeah, I could definitely see that. So I say both for me.
Miss Julie?
Yeah, I agree. There's no shoulds with Fae. They can be in any form. So no limits, no boundaries.
Yeah, I agree, because it really just depends on the artwork and what the artist of the deck does with it. Because, like Rochelle said, the tarot deck is very, like, you have everything in those 78 cards. And if you want to create a tarot deck with Fae, then you just have to think of, okay, how can I make this card meaning? And like a fairy, how can I make that into one? And design something that matches. And so, yeah, why not have more fairy tarots?
All right, so it looks like Witchy Mom has a question. Are dryads part of Fae? I'm learning that Fae is not just fairies. I never knew. And I do. I think that dryads, any kind of spirits, anything of the otherworld nature type stuff would fall under the Fae category. I do. All right, so oh, wait.
Carla.
Oh.
I know, right? I already read that.
I just had to put that there for her.
All right, so the next one is, do Fae tarot decks or oracle decks make you read differently? Do you feel like there's a difference in how they read or the spreads that you would lay out? Now, I asked this for a very specific reason, because in Brian Froud's Oracle Fairies deck, he talks about how you could just close your eyes and lay the cards out, and that's like the spread you would use for the Fae, because they will guide you towards the spread that you should be using with them. And I have worked with other decks where they had the whimsical or like Fae kind of energy to them, and that worked out really well. You just closed your eyes and you laid the cards out wherever you just laid them out. And then when you opened your eyes, it was a different kind of spread that you had to figure out kind of how to read, which kind of reminds me tricky Fae kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like how they play with us and play with our energies and kind of want us to think outside of our boxes, basically, is how I view the Fae. They want us to think outside that box, that little tiny box we put everything in. So I read with Fae decks in a different way than I would a normal tarot deck. If I do a 3-card Fae spread, it's not going to look the same on my end at when I'm doing my own card readings as I would for somebody else if I'm doing a 3-card with the regular deck, because I would just lay it wherever I felt it would go and not necessarily what the spread said I should do, because I feel that energy to do so. And I do think that changes the reading, because maybe that middle card ends up being the first card, even though traditionally the first card is on the left. I know, Carla, you're going to say I don't have enough experience.
Well, this reminds me of when you came to visit Rochelle, and you were, you gave me some great advice. I mean, it's like you were, somebody from the Fae was teaching me how to read cards. And I think that goes with any deck, that you're going to have a different reading depending on the deck that you're reading with, period. So, and with that being said, you told me just to look at the pictures, period, before I ever looked at the meanings. And so depending on what is in front of me is going to determine the end result, period, is just the pictures telling the story. So yeah. It depends on the deck, definitely.
Rochelle?
So for me personally, I agree with that. I completely agree that each deck is going to affect me differently. My interpretation of the art is going to affect the entire reading for me. But I think that's a personal question for everybody. Not just like a blanket thing. So if I have there's even this discussion that some people only read with one deck because they don't see the need in having several different decks, right? So I personally think that it affects me differently because I do look at the art, but some people will simply look at the meaning and get it from that. So for that kind of person, I would say, no, it wouldn't affect them differently. But also, if somebody is creating a deck, like what you talk about with Brian Froud, I don't have any of his decks, and he's telling you in that guidebook, here is a way that we can do it. So that's why I love reading the guidebooks, because they will give so many suggestions, especially the way that they created it, what they seen when they were creating it. And that's why I see the deck differently also, is because I'm seeing that artist's work and or that writer's work in the deck when I'm working with it. It's just a beautiful unity, beautiful union. So I do personally, but as a general, I don't think that everybody does. So that's my answer.
I think it's my turn, right?
Yes.
I think with experience, you do start reading that way. And if you just have set meanings for each card and you just go with whatever the title is, and you have your meaning attached to that, that's just sort of novice thing to do. And that after you get comfortable with it, you will just tell the story the pictures have to say. And for me, when I'm using my own decks, each deck has a different story. Each time I use it, I might see something different than what would be normal or traditional meanings. So yeah, and especially a Fae deck, you're gonna definitely step out of the box with that for sure, and have some surprises. But isn't that why we do tarot? To get a different point of view?
Yes.
To step out of our reality.
Well, for me, the way that I use my decks, I put them into different categories. Like I have specific decks for specific purposes. And for example, the Ravenswan Oracle, that after using it today, goes straight into the shadow work category, because that one is like right on the nose and telling me things in a very like in your face kind of way, even if I would like it to be a little bit more gentle. So that is how that deck speaks to me. And whereas, for example, like the Gothic tarot, that is not shadow work stuff for me, even though it's a very dark deck, but it's just like a regular deck. And what I do, like I always look at the pictures and I look at what the people or whoever is in the card, what they're doing, and like try to combine like the traditional meaning with what I see in the cards. And so I can see different things every time, even in like the same cards and whatever my eye is drawn to. And so I don't really like, it doesn't matter what type of deck it is. For me, it's more like I have different categories. And if I want to do a specific kind of reading, then I will look at, okay, I have these decks in that category. Which artwork am I drawn to? And that's just what I go with. So for me, it's not really reading differently with it just because it would be a Fae deck.
Okay. That's cool. And that kind of answers the last question, because the last question is, does how you read matter by the tarot deck you're using? So I think we kind of already even answered that, because we didn't stick to just Fae, right? We talked about all the ways that we kind of work with decks. Well, I didn't necessarily, but you guys all did. But I think that it's important to know yourself and how you read. And that's going to determine how decks kind of flow with you too. I don't generally read with darker decks because I like a lot more positivity going on around me, especially when I'm reading. It doesn't mean I don't own dark decks. Doesn't mean I don't read with dark decks. It just means that they have to be a specific kind of dark deck for me to actually use them. And if they're not going to be useful for me, then I don't generally buy them. But like my Louis Royo, he's a very dark deck, so I do have it. And then I do have the Hidden Realms, and I agree with Carla. It has a much darker aspect to it, but it also has a lot of positive in it too. I mean, it's not just like a straight up dark in your face kind of deck. It does have those parts in it, but I don't think that that's the specific feel of that kind of Fae deck in general. So I think that there's a lot that we all have that are preference based when we're reading. I do.
So I have a question in regards to that then.
Okay.
If you guys, so have you guys like started off with a deck, let's say, like the Journey into the Hidden Realms or whatever it's called, and felt that it was a dark deck by the first couple of readings that you did with it, but then so you put it away for a while, and then you pull it out again, and you're in a different energy. So you read with it, and you're feeling a whole different. So do you, because I mean, I hear that we pull out different decks for different things, for different energies, and I do the same thing. But I have found that I will go back at a later time in my life when I'm in a different energy, read from that deck again, and I completely get a different feeling. Do you guys as well?
Yeah, that's most definitely happened to me. The one that it happened mainly with me was the Fairy Lights Tarot, actually. When I first got that deck, I did not understand it. I didn't even like reading with it because it didn't go together very well for me. Like it didn't, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't reading right for me. But then when I realized, because I hadn't read like the guidebook, because it was the little white guidebook that came with the Fairy Lights Tarot. So I hadn't read the guidebook on it, because normally the little white books don't really have a lot in them. They have basic keywords most of the time on the decks that I have. So I didn't really think about reading the guidebook on that. But when I did read it and I realized that the Fairy Lights Tarot was like 2 cards split in half, and there are 1 picture split in half, and there are separate cards, and you put those cards together to kind of dive deeper into a meaning, almost like they have sister cards. I've heard people talk about that, cards having sister cards and stuff like that, or opposites even. But it's like that, and then the deck just fell together for me, and I love reading with it now. So I think that that kind of stuff happens all the time with different people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because what I was talking about earlier with my intuition, the more that I learned to trust that, I realized that no matter what I'm doing, whether it's the person I'm reading for that says, oh, I need to use this deck, or it's just a reading for myself, you know, this I'm finding is my soul connection. I just love it. And it's, you know, I don't know if it's cheesy or what, but it speaks to me. And I'm cheesy, so you can.
Who cares?
Cheesy,
whatever.
So, but it is. It's whatever, you know, your guides or the universe is telling you to use at that moment, and the message is going to be different regardless of what you're using, depending on how connected you are at that moment. Is kind of what I think. So it could be different every time.
I think so. I think I pretty much already answered that. I think I have definitely gone back. It was more my energy and how I felt like I was connecting with that deck. Because I'll tell you, I've even done like interviews with some of my decks, and some of the responses that came out, I was like, oh, really? You think that's how it is? Really? Look in my face like, oh, I don't think so. You know, so I would put it away for a while. But I think it was more the energy that I was in, not the energy that the deck was, but me, because I'm the reader. It was my connection. So, and where I was at that time. It's just like when two people are talking, they can be saying the exact same thing, but it doesn't really matter. Depending on their energy, they're going to hear what they want. And depending on their energy, they're going to hear what they want. So I think for me, it's just simply been about my energy and where I'm at when I'm reading something. So it can change.
Do you want to address Gigi's question?
Yes, most definitely. That's a big yes. And it's, yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as far as decks having a different energy, when Ancestral Path came out first, when it first came out, people called it a dark and serious deck, like very dark and serious. And then 10 years later, it was suitable for children. And nothing about that deck had changed at all. It was all society had changed. Yeah. And, you know, in the beginning, there were some things that were just like too scary for people and too different for people. And mixing cultures was too different. And then after a while, you know, people kind of got used to the ideas. And then it wasn't scary anymore. And I think that's true for most things. Once you get used to it, it's like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Different ideas, no big deal.
So it's kind of like our own perception of the energy, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say the Ancestral Path Tarot, I think, is perfect for like past life regressions, past life readings in general. That was one of them that I used when I first started my past life journey. It's a beautiful deck for that. But,
yeah, for me, the energy doesn't really change. Like once a deck fits into a certain purpose, like for me, the funny thing is like the purpose you would think the deck has. For example, the Lover's Path Tarot sounds like it would be good for love readings, but that's the one I use for work situations because that's kind of what it talks about perfectly, and love stuff, not so much. And like the Atlantis Tarot is really good when it comes to telling me about a person or also politics and stuff. Like it's never the purpose that you think the deck would have based on the artwork or the name. For me, it's always something different. But once it's that, it stays that. And so I will always
That's your
intuitively, like when I have a certain question, know which deck to go to, which deck will give me the answer in the best way that I can understand it.
All righty.
I have to tell you, Gigi was talking about grandson, and I've joked about this, but it's the truth. When he was born, I was right there. He came out kind of blue with an elongated head because he was in the birth channel for a little bit. I was standing there playing, with a catcher's mitt, and the lights of heaven shone down on him, and I was like this. Oh, so yes, you are right. You are right. Truth. Anyway.
He was also the first
Yes.
of the grandchildren, right?
It's like, yep.
The first ones always come out like that.
Why? Good to know.
This was fun.
It was really great to talk to everybody about Fae stuff and decks. And I think that our Tarot Tea and Tiaras is really good for this kind of thing, because we can talk about so many different aspects of tarot, not just one thing, like that everybody's talking about. We all have our own opinions, and we all have different things that we like. So when we go on each other's channels and we just cater to what our channels are about, it's really amazing that we can do that, and that it's that versatile that we can actually do that with the tarot. I think that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Me too.
So next time it's probably going to be Courtney.
Okay.
I think she was the Friday, because we were
Yes.
going with the different.
14 would be next, yeah.
So, but she couldn't be here with us today. She wanted to, but there's a lot of things that are happening in her life, which it's not my place to say, but that's why she wasn't with us today. So hopefully in a month we'll be doing this again, and we'll be doing it over on Courtney's channel if everything is good. So this was really nice, Summer. Thank you for having us over here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it was awesome to have you guys on my channel. Seriously, I wish I could have read the comments, but sorry guys, I'll get back to them. Okay, so.
And it was also really nice to get together, because we haven't done this in a while. So.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Life happens, right?
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. I moved, so I had to get settled before I could do this.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining me, and for doing Tarot Tea and Tiaras in general, because I love it. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. And everybody who is watching, have a very great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys.